Bill Roggio is the managing editor for the excellent Long War Journal. He joins me now from Pennsylvania. Good to see you again, Bill. I mean, so let's talk about the battlefield, if you like. You've got the Taliban ostensibly in control, ISIS-K already flexing muscle, the nascent resistance movement in the Panjshir that you and I have discussed before. Then you've got other militant and ethnic groups and associated divisions. What do you see going forward? What is the chance of a civil war, a fracturing?
Well, right now the Taliban is dominant. They control 32 of the 34 provinces. The nascent resistance in Panjshir is really the only viable resistance to the Taliban. Panjshir province, as we discussed, is a very difficult province to get into. Amrullah Saleh, who's now the acting president of Afghanistan, is organizing forces, but he has a long climb ahead of him. He has to reach out to a lot of Afghans. The Islamic State, when it comes to them, they are an opponent to the Taliban. There is some evidence that occasionally they'll work with the Taliban to conduct specific attacks, but in the end, the two are enemies because the Islamic State challenges the primacy of the Taliban's jihad. So, I think if the Taliban does turn its sights on the Islamic State, that problem will be quick, and then you'll be down to a resistance versus the Taliban.
Of course, when it comes to ISIS-K, the K stands for Khorasan, which is a region. It encompasses more than Afghanistan. Iran, parts of China, Pakistan, whose intel service has been heavily involved with the Taliban. I mean, do you worry about regional instability if ISIS-K gets a foothold?
Yeah, ISIS-K is definitely more of a regional threat, in my opinion, than a threat just to Afghanistan. It sprung up from the disparate elements, disaffected elements of the Pakistani and Afghan Taliban and some members of Al-Qaeda and some other jihadist groups after the Taliban lied about Mullah Omar's death in 2013 to 2015. They hid it. It's estimated to have several thousand members. That number might be a little higher, but it's compared to the Taliban Al-Qaeda nexus, the Taliban, and particularly Al-Qaeda and allied groups, the ones that are operating in Pakistan, Islamic State Khorasan province is a lesser threat, but its threat level is upgraded a little bit because it's the one willing to conduct attacks on soft targets like mosques and schools and things of that nature, where Al-Qaeda and its allies have been more tactical.
Yeah, killed dozens of girls at a girls' school, shot mothers giving birth in a maternity hospital, ISIS-K did. Now, obviously, the US hitting this ISIS planner in the last few hours was the result of intelligence, but I'm curious what you think going forward. How damaged will the US ability to gather intelligence on the ground be, especially given the thousands of wartime allies who've been left behind? I mean, who on the ground would want to help the Americans? Trust them?
Michael, that's exactly the right point. I mean, after the U.S. president abandoned Afghanistan in its time of need and told Afghan soldiers, accused them of not fighting for their country when more than 66,000 have died fighting over the years, it's going to be very difficult to find allies. And it ultimately, intelligence operations require intelligence on the ground, require human intelligence. And the U.S. may have been able to strike an Islamic State Khorasan province facilitator today, but the ability to do that tomorrow and the days moving forward is going to diminish. There's no Afghan army to assist us. There's no National Directorate of Security, Afghanistan CIA around anymore. The U.S. is going to be, this intelligence is going to have to be gathered via signals, and those could be fooled.
A few people have followed the Taliban literally the way you have over the years. There are many who doubt Taliban 2.0 is in any way a kinder, gentler version. What do you expect Afghanistan will look like in, I don't know, 6, 12 months?
Yeah, in 6 to 12 months, I think put it this way, meet the new Taliban. It's the same as the old Taliban. We're going to see a return of the Taliban from 1996 to 2001. We're already seeing evidence of this. The pictures we see in Kabul seem much more tame, although starting to see reports of increased arrests and searches. But from what I'm hearing that's happening outside the province, it's back to the old school Taliban way of rule. The one thing the Taliban is the new improved Taliban aren't ways that help us. Its alliance with Al Qaeda has improved. Its propaganda operations have improved. Its ability to use the internet to recruit and to get its message across. It's a far more sophisticated organization with an army that is armed with U.S. weapons. None of those things are good for the United States or the West.
Yeah, indeed. Bill, thank you. Bill Rogier with the Long War Journal.
Thank you, sir.